My guest today is Jason Lawrence, CEO and founder of SalesFix. Jason, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, how are you doing today?
Really well. Now, Jason, you're an expert in CRMs. Tell us, first of all, what a CRM is and why does a business need one?
Yeah, certainly. CRM is short for customer relationship management, but I think it's more than customer nowadays. It can be supplier or anything relationship management, any sort of personal company building relationship with. Why does my business need one? Well, most businesses probably already have something. It might be a box of business cards sitting on their desk. It might be Outlook with a list of contacts in there. It might be an old ACT or Goldmine database with a listing of contacts and the tasks that they've recorded against those contacts.
Going back to Goldmine, that's a trip to the past. Jason, what's wrong with just having the information kept on spreadsheets?
So one problem is accessibility to other people. Now that's being reduced with the use of Google Sheets and Office 365 online, but how that data is related to other sets of data. So how a contact is related to a company or an organization, in Salesforce speak an account, and how those contacts are related to each other. And where's that being stored and kept? Let alone all of the other information that is related to that contact, the emails that have been sent, the phone calls that have been sent, the task reminders to doing something in the future, and how they relate to, or that contact is relating to sales opportunities, pipeline, or even case management solutions, customer services solutions like cases and tickets.
Jason, you work exclusively, SalesFix works exclusively with Salesforce. Why do you only work with Salesforce?
It's a great question. The original answer to that was that I used to work for originally P&O Ferries that had Salesforce. I then moved organizations to Lang O'Rourke and did a pretty extensive review of online CRMs. This was back in about 2008. So I looked at SAP, Sage, Microsoft, Siebel, and Salesforce. And Salesforce, even back in 2008, came out heads and tails above the rest. That's how I first decided Salesforce was the best place to go. Nowadays, it's about really knowing the product and being an expert in, I'd say one system, but Salesforce is so many different systems now. But being an expert in one suite of products, I think is key for us. And also, it's the best in the market. Why wouldn't you? It really is in the Gartner, top right-hand corner of the Gartner Magic Quadrant of a number of items. And it's a lot more than a CRM. It's a total business process platform.
Let me pick into that idea of a total business platform for a moment. What then can a business expect to do better if they have a system like Salesforce in place?
So by having a lot more of your processes on a single platform, or at least minimizing the platforms. So quite often people will have their finance or their ERP on another platform. That said, Salesforce has a number of finance and ERPs built on Salesforce, but having all of the other processes around marketing, event management, sales, contact management, contracts management, and customer service, along with back office processes, you get a couple of synergies. Firstly, everyone can see what's going on with that one contact across the business, whether that's finance or sales or marketing. The other thing is that you get some consistencies in skill sets. So once you know how to create a report for a marketing dashboard, you can, once you've learned the data, you can easily transition that skill to creating a report in sales or customer service. So the system administration function becomes easier and easier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because the more and more platforms you have, the more and more complicated life gets behind a computer screen. Jason, one of the things that I guess everyone worries about is cost. It's always a critical factor, particularly when you're talking about back office systems where there's not a direct correlation between income and outgoing money. How do you address that concern?
It's all about the end customer experience. And what do I mean the end customer? It's not SalesFix's customer, i.e. the businesses that we are implementing Salesforce for. It's all about their customers' experience and improving the engagement between the business and the end customer. And the better experience they have, they're more likely to provide testimonials and referrals. The customer's also more likely to repeat buy, and even the opportunity for upselling. But making the customer sticky with the business that we work with, that's our end game.
Is it a complicated process to start? Is there a quick way into Salesforce?
That's a really difficult question to answer. It really does depend on the organization and the initial requirements. SalesFix do have packages for what we call a quick start implementation, starting at about $10,000. But we also do new implementations of $150,000. So it really does depend on the outcomes and what the phase one release of an implementation needs to look like for an organization. How many users? What do you want to do about training? All these factors need to be come in. And integration, that's another key bit. Is we happy to continue with a swivel chair technique, i.e. I'm swiveling from Salesforce CRM to my finance ERP, or do I need a single integrated solution? So there's so many different factors to decide on what the cost is. We're also very conscious on making sure that there's an ROI, a return on investment for that cost. Yeah. So we will push back and say, look, let's not do the integration for this piece of work because you've only got a couple of users doing this a couple of times a month. It'll be quicker and easier and cheaper to do that manually versus if there's lots of users doing something lots of times a month, then we might sort of like suggest there is an ROI on spending significant amount of money on getting that integration right.
Now, you mentioned integrating Salesforce with other business systems.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example or two? What do you mean by integrating?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, if we think about the sales process, the first point of integration might be a web form that's been a contact us form on your website that needs to, instead of going to an email address to be managed, that can be changed into a web to lead form. And that that submission is then put into Salesforce as a lead. Once it's inside Salesforce, we've got some automated processes we can apply, including assignment rules, auto response emails, notifications to a new business owner, and tracking and traceability of how many, where they came from. So that's just the very first point of integration. But other integrations might include out to a finance system, so sending an order to MyOb, Sasu, Xero, something like that, any finance and ERP, back to bringing in invoices into Salesforce, and they're integrating to third party, but also people talk about integrating with inside Salesforce. So we use Mission Control as a project management tool. We don't call it integration with inside Salesforce world because it's 100% built on the Salesforce platform. But others might regard it as an integrated application because it's a separate application to the core fundamental CRM.
Now, one of the things that I think everyone struggles with these days is email. Does Salesforce make email easier to manage?
No, I would say the short answer to that is no, it doesn't. And the reason is there's so many different types of email. Are we talking about an email between two individuals in the sales process that generally is still managed in Google, Gmail, or Outlook? If it is, then yes, we can make it easier because both of those two applications integrate to Salesforce so that we can push that email into Salesforce semi-automatically. So there's much greater visibility of who said what when, whether that's the original person having the conversation or somebody else involved in the deal at a later date. Next type of email that I talk about is more automated workflow style email. So that is when something happens on a bit of data, send out an email. So for us, for example, when we win an opportunity in our instance of Salesforce, an email automatically gets sent to the customer saying, thank you very much. Can you just fill in these extra bits of information as you're a first-time buyer? So things like letting us know who the finance team is, where to send invoicing. And then the third type of email is mass email. So integrating with MailChimp or Vertical Response or Campaign Monitor, mass email tools. So that's a lot easier because the data is integrated seamlessly between Salesforce and that mass email tool, and back again as well.
Jason, it does sound like Salesforce can tie together all of the bits and pieces of a business. I understand it also can do things like purchasing tracking and other areas of the back end. Has it become the complete solution?
For some organizations, yes. Some organizations are definitely using it all the way through from lead generation, lead nurturing, converting through to sales and opportunities, managing complex quoting mechanisms through a CPQ or configure price quote tool, through to order tracking and invoicing and ERP through a solution like Salesforce Financial Force, which is a finance application.
Jason Lawrence from SalesFix, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you again today. I love the way you explain things. It makes an awful lot of sense when I have an expert tell me about it.
Great, thanks very much. I'm glad it's making sense to you.
And for people who've been listening, if you want to reach out to Jason and SalesFix, you can do that via the website at salesfix.com.au.
Great. Thanks very much indeed. Great speaking to you.